What's going on, everyone? So this offseason, there was a lot of optimism and just excitement going into free agency, and then once free agency concluded, going into the regular season, right? The Lakers had themselves quite the offseason. In many people's eyes, myself included, they won the offseason. They were able to keep the core from last season, add in and interject a bunch of youth, sizable wings and forwards. The previous year, the offseason consisted of like a roster full of 6-foot guards. This offseason, the roster was filled of young, very sizable, all 6'8" forwards, right? And the size has been very overwhelming for a lot of teams. And yes, this roster was a roster that you looked at on the surface as like, okay, this could be a legit contending team. This could be a team that can compete and beat the best of them. And you saw them have their struggles early on. They were trying to figure things out. They still definitely have some issues. They definitely have some concerns. Even in the offseason, there was like, okay, they still have question marks, but this is a very good team capable of winning an NBA championship. And you know, when you are just plagued with injuries, it's hard to kind of get a rhythm, kind of get a flow. But now you're starting to see everybody come back. Everyone's starting to get healthy, and the Lakers are really cruising. So much so that they ended up winning the in-season tournament, the first ever in-season tournament, and won it against the Indiana Pacers, another very young, talented team. And the Lakers, the beauty of this is the experience of what this does for this team and this roster. So, as I mentioned, the Lakers are a very young team, and with that youth comes the inexperience. Yes, guys like Jared Vanderbilt, D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, these guys all had some playoff experience. They all were part of the team last season that were in the conference finals and ended up losing to the Denver Nuggets, right? But they don't have the regular, perennial, here's a playoff series again and again and again with all this mileage and all this experience and all these situations, right? They just haven't had the amount of games that you want. And then you add in some of the new guys, like a Christian Wood and a Cam Reddish and a Jackson Hayes and these youthful guys that many of them never even seen a playoff atmosphere outside of like maybe watching it on TV or being in the stands. And so to go into this tournament and essentially have a playoff atmosphere, a playoff environment, a playoff style of games, I think this is something that was very impactful for this team and the youth of this team. Because look, the Lakers, they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they have the experience. Especially LeBron James. LeBron James has been there and done that countless times. You talk about one of, if not the greatest players ever. LeBron James isn't worried about coming and showing up during the playoffs. And as great as LeBron James and Anthony Davis are, and them being your leaders, and them being the guys that can set and establish the tone once you get to the playoffs, and they are the two guys that you lean on the most, right? Like, we go as far as these two guys take us. If these two guys take us to the first round, then that's it. If they take us to the championship, then that's where we go, right? Like, and we saw that in the in-season tournament. We saw both of these guys just dominate. Anthony Davis, 41 points, 20 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks. I mean, the guy was ridiculous, otherworldly. LeBron James was fantastic. LeBron James, even in the Pelicans game, single-handedly basically just won that game and dominated the Pelicans. Right? These two guys are our life raft, right? They are our safety jacket. They are the guys that we can confide in and trust and believe to get the job done and handle whatever situation is thrown at us come the playoffs, especially if they're healthy, right? Like last season. What does that series against Denver look like with this LeBron? This LeBron is better than last season's LeBron and far healthier too. And You don't think that this version of LeBron could have made that series a lot more interesting? I'm not saying that they necessarily would have won it. I think they could have, but let's say that they wouldn't have. It definitely wouldn't have been a sweep because this version of LeBron, I mean, that entire series was decided by 24 points total. 24 points total. You don't think a fully healthy LeBron and the way LeBron played in this in-season tournament wouldn't have made up 24 points? Of course he would have. He's also been one of the best just fourth quarter players in the entire league and the most clutch fourth quarter player in the entire league. So if that translated into last season, it might have been a completely different series. So if these two guys are healthy and these two guys are doing what they're supposed to be doing, the Lakers are going to be extremely tough to beat, if even beatable, period. And you add them to the youth, and you add them to this team that they just played 7 playoff level basketball games and went 7-0 in all of those games. Yes, a lot of those games were against bad teams that were blowouts. I understand that. But they got experience against a team like the Phoenix Suns, who they very likely could end up playing in the playoffs. They got experience against the New Orleans Pelicans, a team that they could play in the playoffs, right? Like a team like the Indiana Pacers, who, yes, you're probably not going to play them in the finals, but they just beat Boston and Milwaukee. And they are the high-powered offense. I mean, literally historically great offensively. And a team that can absolutely get after it and just quickly shoot themselves right back in a game. You could be up 15 and all of a sudden it's a 2-point game because they've rattled off, several threes in a row. It happens all the time with that team. And so the Lakers and their young guys, to get the experience, to get the understanding, to get those situations and those environments, I think is very important. I think this is huge for just our chemistry, our development. The Lakers are clearly the best defensive team in the league. I mean, they are terrifying from the defensive side. You start looking at all of the pros of not even just winning it. Obviously, winning it is great because that feeling, which I'll touch on here in a moment, but even just beyond winning it, the experience of going through that whole thing, I think is really good and will help translate once we get to the playoffs. Because it's more games, it's more experience, it's more just minutes logged under your belt. And just like anything, the more time you put into something, the better you're going to get, the more comfortable you're going to get. So in a tight game where you need to close out, these guys are going to be more comfortable. You could throw out, a Prince or a D'Lo or a Reeves or whoever, right? Like Reeves has been brilliant, don't get me wrong, but you only get better by putting in more hours, putting in more work. And that's what this team did. And then you add in the fact that they won the in-season tournament. So now you get that feeling, get that experience. It's not an NBA championship, of course, but it is a very similar, for somebody that's never won it, a very similar experience. Got the confetti, you got the trophy, you worked hard and had to win 7 games to go and get this. It's not 16, but it's half that, right? So now you had to go do that, the grind, the hustle, the exhaustion, the tiredness of putting it in, the mental toughness that it takes, all of that stuff. Put that in. You see the fans cheering for you. You get to feel and hold and look at that trophy. You get to see LeBron James get the MVP, all that stuff. And then you have LeBron James in your ear like, hey, wasn't that nice? Didn't you like that? When you were wearing the medals and you were wearing the hat, you put the hat on, that feeling you felt. Man, remember how it felt to hold that trophy and to take those pictures and to have everyone cheering and happy and, talking to Adam Silver and all that. Remember that feeling? Well, imagine that times 10 if we win the championship. Now you start painting that picture. Now you start, planning that idea in the head. And now they can actually see it. Right? It's hard to see what it looks like to win a championship when you've never actually won one. Because all the thoughts that come to your head are about other players. Even if you're putting yourself there, it's still an accomplishment by everyone else but you. But when you've accomplished something similar, again, it's not an NBA championship. I want to make that clear. I'm not trying to. NBA championship is NBA championship, right? Not even in the same sphere, right? But you can now visualize and see what a similar experience is like. You can now start to actually see yourself and your fellow teammates around you all holding that trophy. The confetti falling in front of them. The crowd cheering. Adam Silver at the podium, right? A lot of the stuff that happens when you win a championship, all these guys just got to experience. That is huge. That, in my opinion, is going to go a long way. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you think that, yeah, this is huge experience? It's going to go an extremely long way for the Lakers and just kind of right the ship in their pursuit for an NBA championship? Do you think, like, no, there's no replicating that? There's no similar experience, nothing. Do you think the Lakers have a chance to win it? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate you all. See you in the next one. Thank you.